There we go. Thank you. So what are the frames of attraction? We have attraction frames, comfort frames, and seduction frames. Today I'm only going to touch on attraction frames because for most guys, that's as far as they're getting right now. So there's 5 frames that are really important in attraction. The first one, I just did a video on this. Anyone watch my video? Nobody. Lame. All right, the first frame is fun. This is the biggest, like, to me, people talk about DHVs, people talk about value, like all these routines. The number one thing that determines whether or not you're going to get a girl is how much fun she has. You can break every single rule. You can demonstrate a ton of low value, you can be needy, you can be creepy. You can break literally every rule. If the girl's having fun, she's going to stay. If you're the most fun option, she's staying no matter what. This was actually like a huge thing for me because like I said, all the things I teach come because I made a bunch of mistakes learning this shit. Like I learned this shit probably the hardest, most roundabout, like stupid way you could. So what happened was I used to go out with this guy named Future who used to teach with us. And this was probably like 2005, maybe 2006. And we were in Central Park. I remember this like it was fucking yesterday. We're in Central Park and he's gaming this girl and he's saying some creepy ass shit, like really creepy shit. And I'm just like, like back then, like I was real sensitive to like value shifts and stuff. So I was like, It was like frying my brain. I'm like, how is this girl not walking away? And she stayed and he ended up fucking her. And I was like, how the fuck did that happen? The answer was she was having a lot of fun. Fun overrides everything. So many guys go out and you're all nervous or you're in your head. The point of going out, the point of picking up women is it's fun. It's not like dismantling a fucking atomic bomb. If you're not having fun out there, stop doing it. All right, next, we have playful. Attraction routines are not going to be like these long, drawn-out things where you're like, you know, I have an intuition about you. I bet you that as a young girl, something happened to you to make you grow up before you were ready, right? You're not going to do that. You're in a fucking club, right? Everything you do in attraction should be playful. Don't take the shit too seriously. It's not a real interaction. One of the things I always say is for the first 10 minutes, nothing the girl has to say matters. I'm on camera saying that. Nothing she has to say matters because you're running your game, right? You don't need to listen. Guys all the time, they're like, oh, I can't hear. The club is so loud. It's so loud. I'm like, don't listen. Stop listening. Now you don't have a problem. Lean back. Don't fucking lean in. Talk louder. Shut the fuck up and get back in set. Now, be playful. Playful means not serious, teasing, fun, not taking it so fucking seriously. It's not life or death. So many guys, I see them in set and they're like, it's very nice to meet you. Stiff, fluid, unflexible, right? And then they wonder why they're getting bad reactions. It's not anything you're doing, it's the fact that there's not that playful vibe to the interaction. Think about it like kids. I think kids are like the best example of flirting ever. You'll see all of this stuff in watching like 4- and 5-year-old kids play with each other. Right? You'll see the little boy run up to the girl and like shove her and be like, I hate you. And what does she do? She runs after him, right? Runs after him. The way kids interact is the way we want to be interacting. There's a lot of different reasons for this. Like the basic evolutionary reason is that positivity and playfulness and a healthy attitude is a health indicator, right? Anyone who's super negative, you assume that a lot of bad shit happens to them in their life. You know, you meet someone who's like, man, you know, my mom, and then like they've got this shitty job and I have to get up really early, and you're like, wow, you suck. Please kill yourself. But you meet someone who's like, hey man, how's it going? You're like, wow, nothing too bad. This guy must be fairly successful because he's so fucking positive. That wouldn't happen if a bunch of bad shit happens to him. It's the emotional equivalent of having big muscles. Girl sees a guy with big muscles, she's like, oh, that guy can protect me. Girl sees a guy who's super positive, she's like, oh, that guy's probably pretty cool. Next, we have, what do we have next? Fun, playful, teasing. Teasing is one of those skills that you have to get really good at because it's another overarching skill. A lot of people have read like The Art of Seduction. There's a passage in The Art of Seduction that anyone who's studying this should read. It's the passage on the coquette, right? What's a coquette? She's basically a tease. It's someone who makes you feel like you're going to get someone. I got really good at this a weird way. I dated a lot of strippers from like 2004 to 2006, 2007, I guess. I still date a decent amount of strippers. But like, strippers are the best at this, man. It's so fucking, it's unreal how good they are at it. Like, the image I always think of is imagine a stripper like pulling a guy in by his tie and then pushing her out with her heels, right? Everyone's seen that in a strip club. It's this push-pull. That's the teasing dynamic. right? And with the teasing dynamic, you have a pendulum effect, right? Because a lot of guys, they start out and they're pussies, right? A lot of guys in this room are pussies, I guarantee it. And then on the other side, you have how I started off, which was I was a big asshole. I was just mean to everyone. I was like, fuck you, I hate you, I'll fight you. I'm like Tupac, like representing, right? Like I'll fucking like I was a messed up kid, right? So what happens is we come in right here, and then we swing way too far to the other side, right? Now you become an asshole. You go out and you start insulting girls. I see this all the time. It's one of my favorite things about teaching boot camps is that every week I will get a student who comes up to me and he's like, you know, I have a really good neg. And I'm like, oh God, here it comes. You walk up to the girl and you tell her, you're a bitch who smells like tuna fish. I had someone say that to me. That's not a hypothetical example. So teasing, you want to stay somewhere in the middle. You're going to overdo it at some point. You have to overdo it. That's a big thing that a lot of guys kind of don't think about is there's this fallacy of the perfect pickup out there, right? Like you walk in and everything you do is money and it just works. That doesn't happen. Every fucking pickup that works has some clunkiness to it. Every pickup is going to have some shit where you might have lost the girl if you had messed up. You know, Brad P's reports are amazing for this because Brad P just deals with all sorts of just ridiculous random shit in his LRs. You know, like me and Captain Jack have had people chasing us in cars. Like we've had some weird shit too. So there's this fallacy of the perfect pickup. You can fuck up and still recover. Like that's the point that I'm trying to make here. Is one fuck up does not mean you have to leave the set. The idea of persistence is a big thing, right? A lot of the times you will get laid just from being persistent, just from staying in the set and trying to move forward. You gotta internally reframe no's as not yets, right? Just because a girl's not ready. I'll tell my favorite story of all time. So I was on a boot camp in Boston last year, and a bunch of like douchebag community guys were there. And like I walk up to one of them, and he's like, "Hey man, you're running a boot camp." I'm like, "Hey, we've got like 12 students." I'm like, if you guys really don't mind, just because the students are new, can you just not fuck with them? Just kind of like say what's up, but like just leave them alone. If you guys want to watch, just kind of do it at a distance. Like I was being pretty cool about it. You know, I wasn't like, get the fuck out of here like I used to be. I used to be like, you guys need to leave. And so I'm like, cool. I'm like, hey man, what's your name? And he's like, Mystery. I'm like, really? Really? All right. So I walked away from him. And like an hour later, he's confronting, it's this place in Boston called Jillian's. And there's like a staircase, it's 3 stories. So he's on the staircase and he's grabbed one of my students. And that's just something you don't do. So I like shoved him down and we got kicked out. So it's like, now it's like 12:45, bars close in 45 minutes. I'm kind of drunk. I just got kicked out of a club and I'm with 3 students and another instructor. Not really in state, as you would call it, right? So we roll to this bar down the block and I go in and there's a girl who's like my perfect physical type. My type is big boobs, short, red hair, and freckles. Like, there's a girl like that, I'm done. It's a problem. But so, like, one of the students was actually talking to her friend, so I'm like, all right, I'll go wing the student. I'm like, but I've got 45 minutes, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in, and all I'm going to do is tell her I'm going to hit on her, tell her she's my physical type, tell her I like her, and tell her I want to have sex with her. So I went in, and that's what I did for 45 minutes. And she's like, well, it's not going to happen. And I'm like, we'll see. I'm very charming. She's like, I'm not going to sleep with you. I'm like, we'll see. I'm going to try. You're fully within your rights to say no, but I'm going to keep trying. So if you want to leave, go ahead. And she's like, ah. And so I tried to kiss her 4 times. 4 times. And I got like, you guys ever seen Blind Date where they have like the rejection counter in the corner? My rejection counter was at 4. And then the lights go on, and I'm like, all right, let's go. And she's like, I'm not going home with you. I'm like, yes, you are. I'm like, let's stop pretending you're not. And she's like, fine, but we're not having sex. I'm like, we'll see. And then while we're having sex, she's like, remember when I told you we weren't having sex? I lied. I'm like, no shit. Really? Tell me something I couldn't figure out on my own. But the idea is you can get rejected and still get the girl. You can get rejected a bunch as long as you don't take it badly. What happens when guys get rejected is they let it affect their state, and that's how you lose the set. If a girl can tell that she just affected your emotional state, she loses all attraction for you. Why? Because men are supposed to be like rocks in the storm. Anyone read Way of the Superior Man? You guys should all read that. I feel like that's the definitive, if you want to really get the idea of how women are emotionally and how men are supposed to be, that's a great book to read. In there, he talks about being the calm in the storm, right? Because women are these swirling seas of emotions. I don't mean that like girls are super emotional, but I mean like girls are a lot more emotional than guys. But We need to have that strong rock. They need to have something